concrete they'll have to fix, things like that, but it should mostly be under warranty.
Sounds good.
Anything else, nothing else?
That's it.
Dan? Ryan?
No.
No? Okay, we're gonna remove F1, which was the Borkshire Minor Subdivision. That was tabled at P and Z, so we don't have a recommendation tonight. We're gonna add G4 for a possible vacation of the 18th Street right-of-way. That is in your packet, was added, for G4. Okay, with that, entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion.
Thanks, Ryan. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Dan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consent agenda. Any questions, comments for staff on the consent agenda? Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Mel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Visitors, Jerry Halverson is here tonight. So we've got the deal in the packet here. You had a problem with your water softener, with the water? Okay. I don't know what Cassie told you when you were in or not. So what we've done in the past with this council is when something like this has happened as a one-off, is we've waived the sewer part of it. We still charge for the water because it went through the meter, but as far as the sewer part of it, past practice has been that we waive the sewer charge as a one-time thing for folks that have that kind of thing go on. Are there any comments or questions from council on that, or how you want to do things differently?
Oh, I like staying on the same pattern.
Okay. It's typically what we've done, it's about 2/3 of the bill versus, a third for the water. So we do charge for the water that went to the meter, but the sewer side of it, we'll get that taken care of. Okay?
Make a motion to approve that,
Okay,
correctly, probably.
I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Thanks, Ryan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Aaron and Chris Goodrich, are they here tonight? No, okay. Similar situation there. We've done this in the past as well. High water usage. I'm gonna recommend that we do the same, waive the sewer side of it because it didn't go through the sewer. Then I'll have a comment after, if anybody has any questions on that specifically, but I would recommend the same as it kind of follows our practice. So I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Dan. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
I'm just curious, do we know what a cost is of a second meter? Like, are we advertising it? Like, do we
That's
have,
what I'm gonna get to after we do this, if that's okay.
I guess I was curious, and it doesn't really say here, is there, for these instances where we've got what I would consider an exceptionally expensive utility bill, do we have any sort of like payment plan to help with this?
That's right, yeah, we do offer payment plans for folks, they usually set those up with Cassie in the utility billing department, and, it depends on, for some folks, if it's a income-based kind of a thing, they may set up something if it's like a lower income issue, or if, in a case like this where we have a arrears bill, where you may have them, say, pay $100 off each month towards that, so yeah, we do offer those.
Okay.
I mean, in this case, it's a very substantial amount of water, obviously, on this one, 131,000 gallons is a very large bill, so
larger
it's
property?
something where, we definitely want to take that into account, so.
Good?
Yep.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any other discussion before we, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, the motion passes. What I would like to task staff with is on these new construction builds, part of the building permit process, or that we don't have to charge anything for it, I'm not asking for their fee, but ask the builders to give the people the option for the second meter when they're building their house.
Sure.
Just a $200 ad by doing it when they're building the house. Because we've had several situations where people come in, they were never informed by the builder, or so they sort of were told that they didn't know they could do that. They were advertising that they can get that for outdoor water,
Sure.
because it would save a lot of headache for the homeowner, and then a lot of headache for the
Staff.
utility billing.
Yeah, no, I agree, when I bought my home in town, I put SADA in, if I had known about that, it's a one-time cost to put the meter in, I think it's $250 or whatever, but
Right.
you use it in like a year like this year, there's been a ton of people who've been watering with it being so
Right.
dry, so, no, what we can do is, we'll certainly put it out on our own literature, but we'll also reach out to the builders, obviously, we have a couple of bigger builders in town, Bigelow and a couple other ones, and we'll try to coordinate with them if they could put that out.
Yeah. Just so the people are aware of it.
Sure,
And-
no, absolutely.
When they do come and request a second meter, just give them maybe a quick memo stating that there's a monthly fee every month for that, just so they don't seem surprised. And it'll come as two separate bills, so they don't
Sure,
seem...
kind of like yours does, Dan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So just so they know.
Yep. No, I'll talk to Cassie about that, and I think that's, you know, we always do put it out to people when they ask, you know, about it. We say, hey, there's a secondary meter option, but even having it for when they buy their home is probably a really good thing to have, so, no, I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. On to public forum, Jeff first. Do you want to just, if you come up to the microphone, or the podium and... Yep. You just state your name and address and then share your comments, please.
Does this stand down?
Yes, it does. It should come all the way down, the whole thing will move.
Okay.
There you go.
My name's Jeff Burridge, and I live at 605 First Avenue Northeast here in Casson, and I guess I wanted to start off by just saying, you know, I'm not here to cause any problems or be an ass or, you know, any of that. I'm typically a, you know, pretty quiet guy and like to, you know, just stay out of the spotlight, especially now. I'm just glad to be alive, so, but basically, I had, on July 27th, I had a group of 10 people that had stopped by my house, and they wanted me to sign a petition for city workers driving trucks to Quick Trips, Casey's, et cetera, excess driving, and I just told them, I said, well, I'm retired now. This was before this happened, and I said, I need to, you know, do some studies on it, you know, myself. So I just kinda, you know, I wasn't stalking anybody, like I said, I don't want anybody to think of, you know, this jackass is out there and watching everybody, and, but, I was coming back from Byron one day on the back road, the one that comes by the school, when I actually, a city truck pulled out in front of me, a gray one. And this was approximately 11:40. That truck drove up to Quick Trip here in Casson and got out. I won't give any names of the drivers, but if anybody wants to see the videos or that, you'll see the drivers, and basically this is repeat drivers. But anyways, he got out, went into Quick Trip, it was probably 10 minutes, sat there at the time, just watched. He took his stuff, drove up to the building there at the park, got there a little before noon. That truck, none of those trucks moved until after 1 o'clock, and I got a video of that same gray truck with the license plate number. I believe the city has 2 of those gray F-150s. So that was the first instance. I have 4 more videos with the trucks, one at Casey's and one at Quick Trip, or not one at Quick Trip. So one at Casey's and then the other 3 were at Quick Trips. Repeat offenders, so 3 drivers out of the 5 videos that I have. And I guess, you know, I'm just, you know, curious, because a lot of times when they go there, this basically was between 11:30 and noon, almost every day, so that's what made it easy for me. And then they go to the building up there at the park, and they take their lunch there. Typically, they start at 7, they're gone at 3:30, but they're taking over an hour lunch, so I don't know how they're paid, you know, just, so, some concerns there. I started off by calling Chris at August 30th at 3:49, Chris said he'd check with Charlie. Chris was busy. I told Chris, I said, hey, I felt bad, you know, if this isn't the place, because I tried calling the mayor number, if this isn't the place to call you, because it was his own personal workplace, you know, he's got a business, and I said, I apologize, but I did talk to him again on 9/26, and he said that, basically, I talked to Charlie, and the statement was said is they cannot tell the drivers that they cannot stop at Quick Trips or Casey's, you know, with taking lunch. Now, from just, and I know he had to go back in time, but my father-in-law, who had just passed, Tony Distad, right after they moved out there, city trucks were caught in Byron at Bears Den, and my father-in-law turned them in, they were driving there for lunch. And then the old guy that was in charge of, I won't name his name, but you all know who he was, his mother-in-law just lived kitty corner up there by John Buckingham. My father-in-law had a video of him, you know, plowing the driveway with a city truck. So, you know, this isn't just a first-time offense. I know that was back years ago, but now, stuff like this, it's like, our goal is, and things are tight, things are tight for a lot of people. I thought the goal would be to, try to cut cost. Well, at $4 a gallon of gas and, trucks driving and I don't ever, and I know there's reasons, but I don't ever see anybody doubled up, but yet, and you'll see it in the videos, if anybody wants to see them, I have them on my phone, you'll see it in there that there's 4 or 5 trucks at a time up there at the little shelter up there at the park, the little building up there. So, and then a lot of times when they came out, I got them on video, they're all getting in separate trucks, and most of them headed back to now I couldn't drive down the road, obviously, and, film, there's a police officer here, and I would be honest anyways, but, yeah, so my videos you'll see them, they're from sitting still. And, so, that's basically what I have, and like I said, I don't want my house egged, and I know that won't, but, like I said, I'm not here to be an ass, it's just a concern. Those people are gonna stop by, but again, I don't know when. It's a group of 10 people, and apparently, they didn't listen a whole lot, but that's what they were at my house for, so. Yep.
Johan Marsden.
Yep. Excuse me. This the other way. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, honored council people, city administration, and workers. I just come before you as a member of the faith community here in Casson to let you know an initiative that we want to implement in order to support your work, which is just to simply provide a member from the faith community at each one of your meetings to quietly pray in the corner. We believe that your jobs are difficult, that it requires wisdom beyond that of an individual, and so we're going to do our very best to make sure somebody is here to ask in God's blessing on your work. We thank you for the work that you've done, and we hope that you continue to lead the community with wisdom, and we see God's blessing on our community. So that's all I had. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Johan, appreciate it. Okay, no public hearings, on to the committee reports. F2, the Morton Fence Conditional Use Permit.
Sure, you've got that included in your packet here. And there are a couple of these, and we did reach out, just to follow up from one item in the previous council meeting, we did reach out to the League of Minnesota Cities. There was a question about putting some of these fence CUPs in the consent agenda, and the League did indicate that could be appropriate. It's not an illegal thing, it would be something that could be done, and some cities do it. So they were, I think, Linda, you could speak to that directly, but...
Yeah. The expert, Jed Burkett at the League, said he thought it was appropriate if it's a routine conditional use permit, that there isn't anything unusual, it's the same agreements, access agreements, and he thought that would be just fine, putting it on the consent agenda. He said you could always remove it if there was anything contentious about it.
So, just to follow up on that concern or question from the last council meeting. So, and there are 2 of them here tonight that are relatively straightforward. We have 2 fences, and they'll be handled individually. The first one is the Morton one. You've got that in your packet there, and you can see the request for council action there. It's a fence that is going to be closer than 3 feet to the property line within the front yard of 11 5th Street Northwest. And I won't read it all for you. As I said, these are relatively straightforward, the 2 we have tonight. The only issue with this one was that this was constructed before the permit was requested. So actually, Councilmember Johnson alerted me to the fact that someone was putting up a fence, and I followed up with that resident, and then Ian followed up with him as well. So obviously, we don't like to do those posthumously or after the fact, but in order to make it into compliance, I think the Planning Commission felt that it was appropriate. So they did approve that at their meeting, and they were recommending approval to the council tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council that aren't on planning and zoning?
Was it just an oversight, not knowing they had to ask for permission?
Yeah, they indicated to Ian that they had tried reading through the fencing code. They had not stopped up, they hadn't actually talked to any staff ahead of time, and so when they talked to him, they did fill out that application.
It's hard to understand some of the,
Yeah, and, you know, we always encourage people, if they have a question, to come up and chat with us, but, you know, I think, and the planning commission members can talk to it, but I think as we're doing more of these, it's becoming more and more known throughout the community and also more smoother, I think.
Seems to me.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the conditional use permit for the Morton property. Thanks, Mel. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thanks, Paul. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. On to the next one.
Sure, and this is a request from Hollenbeck Clark. They are very similar as well. They did have a finding of fact there that there is a 5-foot utility easement along the rear property line. So as with any of these fences, the applicants are aware of the fact that if there is a utility easement and they build in that, if there is a need to access the property there, I mean, and it's damaged or it has to be removed, that's at their expense. Other than that, there was no unusual conditions for this one, and it was recommended for approval by the planning commission as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from those not on the planning commission? Okay, entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Paul. Do I have a second?
second.
Thanks, Ryan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, P and Z, for doing that. On the old business, East Creek 2 Development Agreement.
Sure. At our last meeting, the owner of the property over in East Creek 2, Don Marty, was here, and the council discussed with him about this project, which is namely extending a water line through that property, kind of to loop off towards the east part of town. As part of that, they tasked staff with developing a development agreement with Mr. Marty, which we met with him twice and had some back and forth, and this is the agreement that came out of those conversations. In essence, he is willing to do $5,000 for the completion of the proposed water main, which would be deferred until that property would develop within 5 years. So it might not have been everything that I would have wanted, but it would allow us to move forward with the project. So included in that also, we'll clean up a couple of zoning issues. The south half of 3rd Street Southwest was never dedicated, so he'd be dedicating that property as well. The north half is, Mr. Marty's son owns that building to the north side. That's kind of where that new facility's going in, if you're familiar with that. That south half would come in as well, being dedicated, and then we'll be looking at vacating there's a platted road on the east side of his property which won't be utilized, and it's only platted at 33 feet, so we'd be vacating that street following a public hearing. He's requested that.
Okay. Any questions, anybody? This will go a long ways to getting that water loop complete to help everybody in that neighborhood, so I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Dan. Do I have a
I'll
second? Thanks, Paul. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, and thank Ian for working on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 2, the budget.
All right. Included in your package, you have a couple of different items. And one of these versions, there's version one, basically 1.0, I guess it's titled, or G2 there, and there's a updated version with some cut downs. The first version is one the council has reviewed in August. It was kind of the preliminary budget that was brought to the council from staff. The second budget there is included is a version, after going through with several council members and the mayor, some of their recommendations for some reductions. If you take a look at that, you can see on the first page there, kind of, it shows the breakdown. In the preliminary budget, we had a reduction in the general fund, which was about $5,000 from last year. In this budget, you have a larger reduction there. It's about a $150,000 reduction, and a lot of that was capital that may be deferred, different capital items that may be deferred from this year to next year, and some of it is also related to items that may be paid for with cash instead of being paid for through additional levy dollars. So those are there for you tonight. Included there also, you have 2 resolutions. One would be